Yes. Any other questions from the committee?
I think just a comment before I step away. I commend you and all in everything that you're doing that encompasses the most vulnerable, also Native voice. And so thank you for that. That's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions for you, but I'll just say this, and the same for all of the appointees tonight, that you're welcome to stay. At the end of the meeting, the committee will give a committee vote whether we will pass the recommendations on to the full board. You're welcome to stay for the entire meeting to wait for that, or you can leave and our staff will contact you to let you know the outcome. Okay, thank you.
So much.
Thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
The next person is Roseanne Chatterton. In the meantime, I'd like to welcome our Alder from the first ward, Alder whose name? Sorry.
Hi,
Hi.
I
please
go
have-
by Rose.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's my legal name, that's why I put Rose there.
Government name, as we say.
Can I say, I want to offer you my condolences on the loss of your
Oh,
friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Two of them, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Alder Renee Cope Haywood passed the other day as well.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, and one of our former colleagues who some of us have worked with on the
Oh,
board,
I didn't know that.
Andrea Jackson Brooks. Thank you very
I'm
much.
very sorry about that too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please state your name and your address of record, please.
My legal name is Roseanne Chatterton, although I go by Rose, and my address is 39 Beecher Place, New Haven, Connecticut, 06512.
Thank you. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you feel you're a good fit for this commission.
I've been doing volunteer work since I was a teenager, and I've done so many different things that it would be too hard to list them, but I was raised in a family where my brother and I both did that. And at this point, now that I'm retired, I'm getting involved with more volunteer work here in New Haven, and I would love to be a part of the commission for the New Haven Animal Shelter, because I know that it was short-staffed, and I love animals. I'm a big animal welfare, animal rights person, and I feel like I would be a good fit because I have the time and the energy and the love for it. As far as other volunteer work, I've done candy swiping as a teenager. I've stuffed envelopes for Amnesty International. I've done food prep for God's Love We Deliver for homeless, homebound AIDS patients and HIV patients. And I've been a big sister to both boys and girls because there weren't enough big brothers. And so this is a passion for me. This is something I always find the time to do. So in answer to the question before, Ms. Hamilton, I know when the meetings are and I will attend them all unless I'm not well.
Attendance is very important for all of our boards and commissions, particularly if you plan to stay on it when your term expires, you want to stay. One of the things we will ask the chairs of those commissions is what the attendance of that person was. So, if you like it, keep coming.
Yeah, no, once I commit to something, I'm all in. I was also president of my union, which was a volunteer position just before I retired, and I was president of my co-op in Queens, where I lived before I retired to New Haven.
Are we a retirement community now? Is that it?
That's the type of community I found. I love it here.
Great. All right, any questions from the committee?
No questions. Just, may I have to make a comment?
Yes, Alderman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Rose, you sound like you're very passionate, and I appreciate that. Sounds like you'd be a good fit if appointed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you for your
as I
time.
said, you're welcome to stay if you'd like. If not, the staff will contact you, let you know the results.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
The next person we have is Alicia Crutchfield.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please state your name and address of record, please.
My name is Alicia Crutchfield, and my address is 75 Cleveland Road, New Haven, Connecticut, 06515.
Well, Ms. Crutchfield, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think you'd be a great fit for this commission.
Sure. So I own a business called Bloom. It is located in the Westville area of New Haven, and it is rooted in community and culture through commerce. And what I mean by that is everything that I sell, all the services that I offer, is uplifted and it highlights community and culture. And so one of the many reasons why I want to join the commission is because I want to do more. I want to stop whispering on the sidelines and offering and suggesting and actually doing as a member, and contributing more to the New Haven community. If you all are familiar with Bloom, or if you're not, we do a lot of outreach, a lot of community engagement activities, workshops. We don't just sell, it's not just a transactional business. It's really about bringing community together, fellowshipping, and really uplifting us in a way that we haven't seen in a long time through commerce. And so I'm very passionate about what I do with my business, and I'm very passionate about contributing to community in an innovative way that I am.
Thought you were going to say a little bit more.
Okay, well,
I mean, you
like
can't.
what?
You don't have to.
I mean, everything that I do day to day in my business, professionally and personally, is about uplifting community. I am in my business every day, and it highlights, again, everything that I'm doing or trying to do here in the New Haven community, which is uplifting us. So, I mean, I can go into detail about that, but my work speaks for itself. My personal attendance to almost every cultural fair event in the city speaks for itself. I try to attend any and all cultural activities. You'll hear Alicia's everywhere because I really am. I'm trying to make real, organic, and authentic connections with community members, not just the powers that be, but the community members themselves, and understanding their needs, their desires. And I'm talking about from children to middle-aged persons like myself and the older groups. So,
Hooray for the seniors.
forgive me, I'm not a public speaker. I don't know why I'm nervous because all I do is talk. But
Well,
you can certainly expect me to talk and act, and be a great member on the commission. And again, instead of whispering in their ears, well, what they could do, really implementing and taking action on some of the things that they should and could do.
I think talking must have helped you because I look at the paperwork here and founder of a business, CEO of another, founder of yet another business.
Yes, and about to start another in the community that's actually going to align with the Disability Commission, but I won't speak too much on that yet. But I'm also on the board for Gather New Haven. I'm on the board for, what other board did I just, I'm on all the boards. But I'm really serious about what I am doing, what I offer. I'm not from New Haven, so I've been here for about 6 years, and I just saw a need. I saw a need to offer this community, again, something innovative, something different. We all shop, right? We are all shopping for something. We're all celebrating someone or something. And, despite the times and the calamities that we face, I feel like celebrating each other and offering support by way of commerce rooted in well-being is important.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
No, sounds like she's got it all together.
Not really, but I'm trying.
What campus of UMass did you go to?
Amherst, and you?
Oh, I didn't go, I'm just from the Dartmouth, so the Dartmouth campus is my.
Okay. Yeah, I was born and bred in Boston,
Uh,
and I fled to New York after undergrad.
I was born in New Bedford.
Okay, very familiar. We used to hoop in New Bedford.
Yeah, okay, well. Well, the committee has no questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and again, you're welcome to stay to wait to the end of the meeting for the vote, or you can get word from our staff.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person on the list is Kelly Wazaro. Wazaro. Okay, pronounced it wrong. Wazaro. Yes, ma'am. Please give us your name and address of residence.
Kelly Wazardo, 1693 Quinnipiac Avenue, New Haven, 06513, Ward 12.
Yes, ma'am. I would think I pronounced your name. Can't be right all the time.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
It pronounce mine wrong.
I'm used to it, trust me. You said it politely, that's all that matters.
Please tell us a little about yourself and why you think you'd be a good fit for this cultural affairs commission.
I have been with the Schubert Theater for 20 years now. And during that time, I've worked with cultural affairs in the city and all other arts organizations and most of the nonprofits in town. You know, we all work together. So at this point, I kind of know all the players, and I figure it's now time to give back and start working on the next generation.
Bring to the point. Questions from the committee?
No.
Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being interested in serving on this commission. I mean, you mentioned helping, you know, with the next generation. I guess my question is sort of in your sort of experience over the last number of years you've been involved in sort of cultural life here in New Haven. What are some of the sort of trends you're kind of seeing just culturally here in New Haven, and what you kind of seeing from the next generation of folks here?
We have a tremendous amount of arts and culture in New Haven and Connecticut, and my job is basically access, making sure that everybody has access. So sometimes it's just making sure that everybody knows what's going on and has the ability to get there. But my sort of credo is plan with people, not for people. So what's most important, I think, is not bringing people what you think they want or serving them in the way you think they should be served, but asking people what they want, what they need. So I work with a lot of kids and try to sort of stay in tune with what they're in tune and bring them my experience as well. I've done a summer camp for like 12 years now, where I got to the point where kids that I worked with in high school, I'm now hiring to teach because I've been with them long enough, and hopefully someday I'll give them my keys so they can take my job. But kids today are where we have to start giving them access so they can lead and so that they can be the cultural advocates for tomorrow. It's all about them. So
I agree. Thank you for your response.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Questions? That's all we have to ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad another person from my ward is coming forward.
Go Ward 12.
Yes, thank you very much. Next person is Michelle. Michelle Gardine. While she's coming, I just want to recognize our majority leader, Alder Furlow. He's joined us to listen in.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ms. Gardine, would you give me that second name?
Ife.
Ife. Sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I didn't want to pronounce it wrong this time. One wrong, and I'm only halfway down the list. Please, since you gave us a name, your address of record, please.
My address is 10 Hart Street, New Haven, 06515.
Great. Now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on the Cultural Affairs Commission?
Wow, because I've been involved in various, well, I worked for all the arts, mostly all the arts organizations in New Haven, and I've done numerous collaborations and with arts and interacting arts and social services and youth and community in a lot of ways. And 4 years ago, I started a book festival, New Haven's only book festival, the Elm City Lit Fest. So I'm very engaged and active throughout the arts. So in wanting to join the commission, which I've been trying to do for 3 years, um, to be a part of like supporting local artists and community around artists and helping folks to have access.
Great. Questions from the committee? I have a question.
Okay.
We talk about cultural affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think of different cultures like a Spanish culture?
Of course. Oh my God, New Haven is such a diverse city.
Yes.
And so, wow, like, I'm also a facilitator for the Neighborhood Leadership Program with the Community Foundation. And through that program, people from the greater New Haven area, all neighborhoods, all walks of life, any ideas that they have for a project in their community that they want to start, an initiative they want to start, a program they want to start, any kind of festival, anything, we help facilitate folks to do that within their community. So I've had experience with doing a range of helping folks to get their celebrations, programs, projects, initiatives off the ground. I'm also a facilitator for the Arts Council's Artist Corps, where they gave, and this is their second year of that program, where community artists from all walks of life get a grant to do an arts initiative within their community or for community that's building a New Haven story. So, I mean, when I grew up here, I went to BoA Peter School of Dance. I've gone to the Schubert. I've worked at the Arts Council, the Schubert, the International Festival of Arts and Ideas in the beginning. Like, this is, Ife means love of creativity and culture and Western African dialect. So that is why I became Ife Michelle. So that's why I want to be in cultural affairs.
Bring more culture. Questions? No other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next person on the list is Mark Condon. Mark Condon. Okay, we'll move on. Hopefully he'll come later. We'll move on to Eliza Halsey. Oh, did I miss? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's see here. It's okay. I just lost my place. Name and address for the record, please.
Eliza Halsey, I'm staying at 129 Marvel Road.
Okay, please tell us a little about yourself and why you would like to be on this commission.
Yes, well, I'm really excited at the opportunity to be the Community Services Administrator for the City of New Haven. And I'm really grateful to those in the audience that are here in support, including my family. I was born and raised in New Haven, and this community means a lot to me. I've built my entire life here. My first summer job was tutoring with New Haven Public Schools. And
While I was in college, I worked with children living in the street in Nepal, which really informed my understanding of youth and youth development in an important way. And my first job out of college was at LEAP, Leadership, Education, and Athletics in Partnership, which was also an incredibly formative experience for me. I began building a lot of the relationships that I still rely on today in terms of the work that I do in community. And a lot of that started at LEAP. So this was all in my 20s, which in addition to my work is when my professional work, also when I began becoming active with the Democratic Town Committee. And in that work, my mentors, then Alder Cologne and Miss Helen Martin Dawson, were key mentors in my life and helped me understand what it meant to be a part of a neighborhood, what it meant to engage with residents, and make sure that we're listening to the needs of the community. So I'm grateful to them, to those early mentors, and that early organizing work that I had the opportunity to do, because it really shaped my professional career. From LEAP, I moved to Public Allies. I was the first staff member of Public Allies Connecticut, where we launched 3 programs in 3 cities, Hartford, Bridgeport, and New Haven. And really what Public Allies does is it's a community apprenticeship program, paid program for young people 18 to 30 to help them learn about the range of important work that happens in nonprofits and help them navigate that career path. So from Public Allies, I actually spent 2 years locally, but then moved to the national office where I supported Public Allies sites across the country before ultimately coming back nearly 10 years later to All Our Kin, which is an organization that supports family child care providers in New Haven, does a really critical work. It's grown tremendously over the past 25 years. And I came on as their first New Haven director. And part of the reason for that switch was that I had my first child. And with my first child, I began learning in a whole new way about young people and their needs. And so I began learning a lot about early childhood through that work with All Our Kin, which ultimately led to parent organizing efforts around the city. When my daughter was 2, we were looking to navigate the public preschool system and found that was really challenging to do, even for somebody who'd grown up in New Haven and felt relatively connected. So what do you do when you're an organizer at heart? You bring people together, you bring parents together to listen to what the needs are. And really out of that organizing group, we launched Elm City Montessori. Elm City Montessori School started in the fall of 2014 after more than a year of engaging community members and the Board of Education to think about what would it mean to have a public Montessori school in New Haven. That school began. And so through the partnership with the New Haven Board of Education, we became the first and only local charter in the state of Connecticut, and really spent the past 9 years building that school into a vision of public education that really honors the child, focuses them, and engages families as key partners in that work. So really proud of the work that we did at Elm City Montessori School. And I say all of that background on the work that I've done before getting here, because I really have spent my whole life and career in this city. It is deeply important to me that we support the entire community in our work and that we do it collaboratively and collectively. We are really, really lucky in the Community Services Department, Community Services Administration, to have 5 amazing department heads. The Elderly Services Department with Director Beal, the Youth and Rec Department with Director Williams, the Health Department with Director Bond, the Community Resilience Department with Director Sosa Lombardo, and the libraries, which is the newest addition to the Community Services Administration with Head Librarian Maria Bernay. So we're I'm really lucky for the opportunity to build on some critical work that my predecessor, Dr. Dalal, did. We're coming out of a really challenging time, obviously several years in the pandemic, and somehow the Community Services Administration and its team, in partnership with the alders and the mayor, really did some amazing work setting key priorities. And so really in terms of my vision for CSA is to work closely with the Board of Alders and the city leadership to build on that work. That includes supporting the unhoused and really working towards permanent housing solutions and deeply affordable housing, as well as we heard through our process in securing 270 Foxen, the importance of taking a regional approach as well. Our work in that area really will include trying to work with our regional partners as we build out long-term solutions, in addition to all the efforts we have on the ground in New Haven. Another key priority is just, as you can tell from my background, most of my work has been with children, youth, and families. Keeping them at the center of what we do in this community is really critical. And that includes investments in early childhood education, which through ARPA dollars, the Board of Alders and city leadership really made a big investment this spring and working to roll out that work now. It includes the career pathways work that we're doing with the Economic Development Administration, and really working to think about how do we partner with employers and the Board of Education and our community partners to ensure that our residents in New Haven have good paying jobs and are on a career pathway that they can really invest in. And also making sure that we're in all of that work, really keeping an eye on our disconnected youth. So the work of the youth department on initiatives like Youth Connect are really critical to the work that we have ahead of us in the coming years. I'll just add that supporting our seniors is also a key priority. Just met with Director Beal about this today, really mapping out a longer term plan to think about how we're doing some tremendous work in our senior centers and in a range of programming. How also are we thinking about the 19,000 seniors that we have in our community and the range of supports that we can offer them. And then again, building on the tremendous work of Director Bond, the health department has grown tremendously. More than $35 million budget that they've raised in large part through the hard work of their team. So building on their work on lead and opioid prevention and services is really critical moving forward. With that, let me pause because I know you'll have questions, and I want to make sure that we have time for those questions. But just want to say again, excited for this opportunity and look forward to bringing a range of experience into the role in partnership with the amazing team we have at CSA and the elders and leadership of the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions from the committee? Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good evening, ma'am. Challenges, challenges, challenges. We have a great unhoused population here in the city of New Haven. That's one of my pet peeves, right? Give me some thoughts, your thoughts on how we're gonna, it's not so easy working with the unhoused population, especially with mental health issues and or substance abuse. Your ideas, on how we can better help them to get them housed and off streets? Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great point and a key priority. I will start by saying that actually that unhoused, there are a lot of different people that fall within the category of the unhoused. And some are families, some are those that were just recently evicted and really just need a little bit of help. And then there are others that need deeper supports. I would say the first thing, which again has been in the making for some time now, which you all at the Board of Alders supported, was a critical next step in the model of 270 Foxen, right? A development that will bring 112 units that bring privacy and dignity and a real acknowledgement to the trauma that the unhoused experience in the way that that facility is being built. And we are doing it with a trusted partner in Continuum of Care. And one of the big reasons that we're partnering with Continuum of Care on this critical project is that they offer the range of services that you sort of noted, referenced needing. So behavioral health support, mental health support, in addition to housing and really keeping housing first and making sure there's plans to get more permanent housing is certainly the focus. But one of the key things that is different about this model is that the range of wraparound services for those that do have more complex needs will be present in the facility. So our goal is that this provides a model to address some of those key things that you raised as concerns.
Another question I have, youth services.
Mm-hmm.
Our youth, sometimes can get lost in systems for one reason or another, dysfunctional home life, struggles with education, any thoughts as to how you see us supporting our youth in going forward to ensure that, kids are not left behind, be it through whatever circumstances in their lives,
Yeah, so here I would highlight some of the work that's happening through partnership with the Board of Education and the Youth Department in Youth Connect. Youth Connect really targets our most vulnerable at-risk young people and looks to really provide key mentorship and navigation support through a model that really meets them where they're at. I think what's unique about the partnership is that that all the key players, which include, in addition to the Board of Education and the Youth Department, includes the Connecticut Violence Intervention Program, CTVIP, is that there is a deep commitment to each of the young people who comes into that program and really thinking about not just, certainly trying to get them connected back at school. CTVIP has their navigators within 5 of our high schools, but also to think about what you're talking about, which is what are the family needs, what are those basic needs, and Dr. Williams and her team really pull out the stops. She will tell you the anecdote of the young woman who they had been working with and was having a lot of trouble connecting and staying engaged in school. And she said, if you stay in school and you do what you're supposed to do, I will cover your prom costs. And that young person did what she needed to do, stayed in school, and Dr. Williams came through with her promise. So that's just one tiny anecdote, but I think really it's about understanding for those that are most disconnected, those individual young people, and what their specific needs are, because it usually they're complex.
And so making sure that there's good communication with the school system, and then also the flexibility to support young people where they are, particularly when they're not in school. So I think making sure that we're supporting that work, building it out, assessing its impact, and growing it in ways that ensure that young people don't fall through the cracks is really critical work of our team.
Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Other questions?
Oh, sure.
Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure to have you before us. And it's also nice to see Dr. Dela and Dr. Bond and Director Bond are here. And the work that they have done has been tremendous in the field of health. And the departments under your jurisdiction as director are important to the entire city, and a lot of great work is being done. But then there are areas that need some work. And one of the questions that I've been trying to see how I could ask you is the question surrounding communication. As you know, the homelessness and the opioid epidemic and many other concerns do require some sort of form of collaboration from many departments, police department, fire department, and often guidelines and procedures I think are going to be significant to develop so that an alder or a teacher or a doctor can utilize the same to tap into the resources of our city services that are working so hard to meet the demands of the people who are in need of the services. So I don't know exactly how to frame that, but in seeing the work that you've done, seeing the partnerships that you've established, how can you understand my question? And can you just help a little bit on how would you help us to build some sort of cohesiveness in terms of how we get the right resources within the right time to the people that need it the most from the departments that you are responsible for? Thank you.
Yes, that's a great question, and I'll say two things. One, I think really making sure that our teams are out there in the community and accessible is one important piece. So I know that that we are doing that, and I think we can do it even more, right? So at those collaborative community tables, whether they be neighborhood-based or things like the youth network, the youth program network, making sure that we have opportunities to connect in those spaces is the critical first step. But the second thing I would say in terms of communication with alders and community members in particular is something that we're actually have begun working on through BoC, which is our huge database and our tool for tracking a lot of the work that happens across departments. Is that we recently brought together folks from all different departments, from police to LCI to the health department to CSA, multiple people from the community resilience team to respond to some challenges at Fairhaven School, as an example, coming up behind the school and real concerns from both neighbors and staff at the school about issues there. And so part of what we're doing is we brought all those teams together to troubleshoot the actual the range of challenges and do some long-term planning. And one of the things that came out of that was thinking about how can we use tools like BoC to be able to hear from where anyone can register, whether it be through See-Click-Fix or our internal system, can register a concern or something they're seeing in the neighborhood that then gets routed to all the appropriate departments that are working on those issues. So Becky Bombero has been a key supporter in thinking through some of the technical aspects of it, and we haven't totally built it out yet, but I do think some of those tools like C-Click and BoC are really valuable for helping make sure there's a coordinated response and making sure that alders and community members that are seeing things that they want to raise to the city's attention can be captured and tracked. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, but we can continue to work at it.
Okay.
Thank you. And in reference to the elderly, okay, again, there's a lot of strengths, but there are gaps. Have you been able to explore what's going on in terms of the elderly services, since the elderly community continues to increase and there is a demand for services on their parts? Many elderly are healthy, but many of them are not. And then we have many that are disabled and that need some supports. Have you been able to look at that and see what are some of the areas that you would like to see strengthened? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, I think in terms of, again, the elderly services team is doing really great work, particularly at our centers, and we have begun talking to community partners, including Elm City Communities and others, about that broader population of seniors that may not be already engaged in the work that we're doing. And so I think we're just beginning to really try to understand that whole landscape of the seniors that aren't necessarily crossing our paths yet, to think about what are those needs. So I will say we're at the early stages of really getting the data and information to be able to form that plan that includes work beyond some of the core work that Elderly Services is doing with both their centers, programming for seniors, trips and things that seniors really love and rely on, our VITA services, but also thinking, as you said, what are the gaps and how do we build out the work to meet the most critical needs for our seniors. And I think the other piece of that, which we're actually, in the next few weeks, we're working to try to find a meeting date, but bringing together the department heads. They all work incredibly hard and have, as I said, amazing teams, and creating more opportunities for them to come together and think strategically across departments about where are the places for coordination and collaboration is a really critical next step, because there is so much happening out there. Sometimes the work we need to do is actually making sure that it's coordinated, that the investment is in the right place, and that we have the data to show that we're moving the needle on the core issues we care about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Alder,
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your responses to the questions from my colleagues. I'll just be adding on to sort of some things that they also sort of touched upon in their questions. Regarding homelessness, you mentioned your time at Elm City Montessori, I leave, all our kin. I'm just curious as to whether, in those positions you had any experience with in-house families or youth, and how, I guess, you think that will inform, what city sort of general approach to homelessness, particularly for those groups, will be. Yeah, so you can talk about that.
Yeah, so I have had some experience there, and I think the key thing to remember is what a destabilizing force homelessness can be. And so really thinking about how do we take preventative measures to prevent families from being evicted or from losing their housing is a really important step. The second piece, which doesn't necessarily fall falls more on economic development, but thinking about our deeply affordable housing across the city and making sure, I mean, we have a 2% vacancy rate at this point, right? So we need more housing stock in order to make sure that we can house all of our residents effectively. So really making sure that we are thinking about the family as a unit and making sure that we have solutions and opportunities to support families as a unit. So because it has such deep impact on children in terms of their engagement in school, in terms of their mental health, feelings of anxiety, it's really critical that we put the attention there because it can affect, if we aren't able to wrap that support around early, it can affect their longer term studies and engagement at school. So we want to make sure that we're meeting those families and really putting some focused resource towards that.
Thank you for the response. I just have one more question, if that's fine. My second question also falls somewhat in that similar vein. But I definitely appreciate how you talked a lot about, early childhood, children, youth here in New Haven. And so I was just wondering if you could maybe sort of talk about the state of what, you've observed of early childhood here in New Haven and where you think some opportunities are here in the city to make progress on that issue, whether it be focusing on workforce development for folks in that sector, or taking a statewide advocacy approach. So yeah, we can talk.
Yeah, we definitely need to do both, and our local early childhood community is organizing to do statewide advocacy, in large part because it's an historically under-resourced industry that's made up primarily of Black and brown women who play such a critical role in our communities and are largely not compensated for at the levels they should be for their work. So there is a fair amount of organizing to really look at the wages of early childhood educators. And I think it's important that we support those advocacy efforts at the state level to ensure that the state subsidies really cover the cost of care, which they don't currently. So I think, again, that's an organized community of early childhood providers, and that includes family child care through networks like Circle and All Our Kin, and community-based centers. So really making sure that we're supporting all of those groups is critical. And you all, the Board of Alders, did make an investment of $3.5 million in supporting early childhood, in part because the industry was on the verge of collapse during COVID. The state did put in extra resources to keep early childhood programs afloat because people can't work without them, right? So that investment, though, is slowly decreasing as ARPA dollars decrease, and so it's really important that we build out our programs and infrastructure to be able to support early childhood. And so in terms of the investments we have made, there's 1.4 million going into enhancement grants, which include both quality improvements and facilities expansion, and making sure that there are more infant toddler seats that families who need to access early childhood can. And then there's also funding going into the workforce development piece that you were talking about through the partnership with Circle and Hope for New Haven. They've done a tremendous amount of work in thinking about what do providers need to meet statewide credentials, and making sure that programs get the accreditation they need to keep their doors open. So those investments are really, really important, particularly coming out of the pandemic. And we need to continue to be a partner in that work.
Thank you for your response. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you very much. And you are invited to stay to the end of the meeting if you like.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, man.
Now, Ms. Zoe Gluck. Don't laugh. I apologize for the
That's okay.
mistake. Please give us your name and address of record, please.
My name is Zoe Gluck. I live at 337 Alden Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut, 06515.
Please tell us why you selected this subject, the communities, oh gee, I'm not that shape, Commission on Equal Opportunity.
Of course. So I currently work at the Connecticut General Assembly. I'm the Deputy Policy Director for Connecticut House Democrats. I've spent the last 6 years now working in the Housing Committee, Judiciary Committee, Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, looking at policies to create a more equitable Connecticut. I know that, things aren't always perfect, but I know that our office has worked towards opportunities for the residents of the state of Connecticut. I, in particular, have worked very closely with the two chairmen of the Judiciary Committee, one of them being Senator Winfield, and he and I have worked really, really closely on policies that have created or the hope is to create more opportunity in the state. So that is my professional experience. Aside from that, I work on political campaigns throughout Connecticut. And so my hope now is to bring all of my professional experience back to my community where I live. I've lived here for the past 5 years, and something that I'm really interested in serving on.
Thank you. Great presentation. Questions from the committee? Questions? Questions? I'm glad you like being here in New Haven and you're willing to volunteer your time.
Yes.
With all that you do. You know that's going to take a little extra time.
Yes, I do. I love volunteering. I do have a very busy schedule, but for the things I care about, I make time for. So I'm happy to be here and to commit my time to this.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And again, you may stay to the end of the meeting if you'd like, or if you have to leave, the staff will let you know the outcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I
you.
apologize again for being.
I will.
Okay, next is item number 9. Jean Jenkins. Jean Jenkins? Yes. I know these last 3 do not have to attend because they're reappointments, but I will call their name because sometimes they elect to show. Joyce Alton. Joyce Alton here. Again, not required to, but sometimes they come. Eliza Lee Cruz. All 3 of these chairs of the committees said that their attendance was good. So for that reason, they don't have to attend their meeting, and we will make a decision on their appointments. Now, is there anyone from the public who would like to comment up staff?
Just double check and make sure Mark.
That's right. Mark Condon. Got a show earlier. Mark Condon. Mark Condon. Still not here. All right, anyone else in the public like to comment on any of these appointments? Come forward.
Sign up sheet. You going to write a sign up sheet?
I don't have the sign-up sheet here. However, I did see your hand go up, so I'm inviting you up to the table to talk.
I don't want to dump the queue.
So we'll have to go in order then, right? And the first name on the list is Dolores Cologne.
It might have been 2 sheets, I don't know.
That's 3 sheets to the wind. It's a little different program.
Good
State your
evening.
name and address of record, please.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Dolores, excuse me, Dolores Fulham. I live at 34 Salem Street here in New Haven. And I'm here to speak on behalf of Eliza Halsey. She was my co-chair when I first began a life in politics in Ward 6. And she was very helpful, not just because she was kind enough to agree to be, co-chair in the Democratic Party, but because she was willing to introduce me to people in the neighborhood. I was new to the ward. I had moved over from Ward 7, sort of. My house had been gutted and it was being rehabbed, and I hadn't moved yet. There was all big scandal about that when I was running for Ward 6. But I survived all of that and began the work of getting to know the people in Ward 6. And she was invaluable. She pointed me in the direction of local leaders in her area, from which I learned to work with many of them. And one of them is now my replacement Alder Carmen Rodriguez, right there. So she knows how to spot talent in community organizing. She knows how to organize as a person herself. All over the city, she knew people. She knew my son from when she was in school. I thought my son was unknown. But she has a way of making friends wherever she is. She has a way of connecting dots with people, like who would work well with who I need to know, who someone else needs to know. She's sort of a facilitator in New Haven life. So I think if we appoint her, as you have already seen from her knowledge and her life experience, she will be able to make the CSA a very efficient and well-oiled machine that will seek out and accomplish many goals for our city, which only be a good thing. Okay, so any questions?
Questions for the committee? Thank you very much.
Thank
Cologne.
You're very welcome. Good to see many of you.
Pleasure to see
And a new face.
Again,
Thank
you're
you.
gonna make it every meeting now, we can put you back up.
No.
Next person on the list, Mahmoud Dalal. Name and address of record, please, sir.
Good evening, Mahmoud Dalal. I reside at 115 Linden Street in New Haven. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
It gives me great pleasure to speak in support of Eliza Halsey's nomination and hopefully confirmation to the Community Services Administrator. I've known Eliza for a number of years, first in a personal capacity and now more recently in a professional capacity. And bottom line is, I think she has the right stuff to get things done at CSA. I know the previous testimony referred to a well-oiled machine. That's something I wasn't able to accomplish, but I'm sure that Eliza is able to do that when she is CSA. I think, I was in the role for 3.5 years, and I have a bit of an idea of what it takes to be successful in that role. And I think bottom line is it takes the ability to identify what resources you have and think creatively about what resources those are, whether that's your internal staff, external stakeholders, and then organize those resources in a way that can get things done. And I think we heard from Ms. Halsey earlier today that she's demonstrated time and time again that she has that capacity. So I think she carries out one of the most important characteristics. The other thing other pieces that are very important as part of this role, one, just to have that background experience in organization, finance, and management. I know she didn't really touch on that too much here, but I think the fact that she was responsible for starting up and operating a fairly large organization I think it's that experience that you bring up into this role and understanding how organizational finances work as well. She's spoken to, and the previous testimony spoken to the ability to stakeholder engage the community, and I think that's another important component that she brings to the role as well. And I think, the other piece that she shared and I've observed is just that real commitment to New Haven and understanding the people here. And I think that's kind of a very critical aspect of this. It's not just a purely mechanical role. You really have to have that passion and heart to it. And I hope that came through in her testimony, and I can affirm that. So I don't have a whole lot more to say, but I just really hope that you, consider her nomination very carefully and
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Gillis? Questions? Thank you, sir.
no questions.
Get away easy.
Not used to that.
Well, usually we've been sitting there, it's a longer presentation.
Yes.
Next person on the list. Moshi?
Grant.
It's Graham. Moshi?
Yeah, Gami.
Gami.
Apologize for the little mix up on the pronunciation.
Gami Moses.
Thank you. Name and address of the record, please, sir.
My name is Gamaliel Moses, Gami Moses, and I live at 319 West Division Street, New Haven, Connecticut. I am here on behalf of Eliza Halsey in support of her appointment. And so I met Eliza many years ago. She was my program manager while at Public Allies, Connecticut. And Eliza was sort of my mentor, right? And Eliza helped me build a foundation for the work that I'm involved in right now, which is 18 years plus work of youth development, environmental education, nonviolence work within New Haven. And I remember as a 20-year-old at the time doing Public Allies, my supervisor at the time didn't saw it fit for me to partake in like youth development training. And Eliza advocated for me and said, this will be good for you as a 20-year-old. Fast forward, did the advanced youth development, and then what happened was I sort of took up a leadership role within the organization I was at and started training others on advanced youth development. And also today, presently, I do non-violence training and also environmental education. So I say all that to say that she helped me build that foundation, right? And today, I wouldn't be the leader I am today. I'm pretty much involved in my community today because of that foundation work, right? I do a lot of work with the management teams, the resilient teams, and with parents and just overall youth work within New Haven. And I also worked over at MC Montessori School as well, where I was the outdoor educator. So we circled many years, like 3-4 years ago. And, Eliza recognized the importance of young people being outside and spending time outside. And I was able to develop an outdoor leadership program because of that, So my work with her, she cares about New Haven. And I think the highlight about Eliza is that I personally believe that the true leadership is about developing other leaders, right? And that's a skill that I saw Eliza has and has proven, that it's about developing other leadership, not just about yourself. And I acknowledge that. So that's why I would like to support her.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, and thank you.
That's all we have on the list. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak on these appointments? Anyone else from the public want to speak on these appointments? Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on these appointments?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor of closing the public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Public portion is closed. Floor is open.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move the first item, approving the appointment of Lena Esposito to the Commission on Disabilities.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. Alderman.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Lena, very dedicated, very connected, and I think would be a very well suited for the Commission on Disabilities. I think she'd be a good asset to that. She cares, just in the conversation she shared with us, and willing to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of appointing Lena Esposito to the Commission on Disabilities, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Roseanne, aka Rose Chatterton, to the Humane Commission.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor of appointing Rose Chatterton to the Humane Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Mr. Chair, would it be possible to move these next three items together? The Cultural Affairs Commission.
What's two cultural affairs?
Alicia Kelly.
Oh, yeah, and the third one.
Three, yeah.
Yes, three. Yes, we can.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move the appointments of Alicia Crutchfield, Kelly Lozardo, and Michelle Gardine, all to the Cultural Affairs Commission.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion, please. Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. All those three folks spoke very highly about their cultural affairs experience and background, and are willing to participate and bring something different, but a great addition to the Cultural Affairs Commission, and I'm in support of all three of them. Thank you.
Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'll also just second my colleagues' comments. I think all three of them bring different experiences to the Cultural Affairs Commission, ranging from founding businesses to working in major cultural arts institutions here in the city. And I think that all those experiences will contribute a lot towards the Cultural Affairs Commission. So I'm also in favor of their appointments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have to agree with you. And seeing no more discussion, all in favor of these three appointments to the Cultural Affairs Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, these pass.
Six didn't show up. Are we passing?
The sixth one will have to leave to withdraw.
Okay. So we're taking action on that one, it's leave to withdraw.
No, we don't. I'm just mentioning that's what we do.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move the appointment of Zoe Gluck to the Commission on Equal Opportunities.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, I find that Miss Zoe Clark came before us and shared a lot of wonderful experience and work that she's been doing. And I believe that that work is going to contribute to this commission greatly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I agree. Any other discussion? Alder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also agree with my colleague. I think, hearing about her experience, especially with Senator Winfield up at the House and up at the state legislature, I think we'll bring. I think it's great that experience will be brought to the Commission on Equal Opportunities, and so I'm also in favor of this appointment.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of appointment of Zoe Gluck to the Commission on Equal Opportunity, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Get a motion on number 6 to move it for leave to withdraw.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to give item number 6, approving the appointment of Mark Compton to the Commission on Equal Opportunities, leave to withdraw.
Second.
Moving second, discussion.
He didn't show up, so we couldn't hear him.
Sums it up. Okay. All in favor of giving this item leave to withdraw?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion confirming the appointment of Eliza Halsey as Community Services Administrator.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion on the appointment of Eliza Halsey, Community Service Administrator. Aldermanic.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Halsey came before us and gave excellent testimony, and she has a dynamitely long resume. But more importantly, she spoke passionately about what she sees as needs in this community and what she brings to the table that will help us to move these departments along in a positive direction. So hearing those things, I'm in favor of her appointment. Thank
you. Other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Rodriguez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Halsey appears to be very familiarized with many of the work that need to be done with all the units and departments under this title. Additionally to that, testimonial before us has brought a passion and awareness of the things that she's been doing in the community. Is exceptionally. We heard the testimonial of an individual here who she's been very supportive and mentoring for many, many years. Additionally to that, I think it's great in that she comes before us with open hands and ready to learn more and to bring in individuals not only into her life, but into the work that she is committed to do in Community Services Administration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Alderman's name.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also in support of Ms. Halsey, her appointment to the Community Services Administration. I think I'd especially like to, how she talked about the importance of early childhood, children and youth. I think it's always essential that it's a priority, because I think it goes a long way in solving a lot of the other issues that come up later in the person's life. So I definitely appreciated that, and also I was definitely impressed to hear folks come and testify about her work in other different capacities, her work in sort of supporting people as individuals and providing them opportunities or connecting them to opportunities for individual growth, which I think is something you can apply, to various departments here. And I think the last thing I'll say is that I definitely appreciated her commitment to sort of taking a multi-faceted approach to a lot of these issues that we're facing, including homelessness, because as we've all seen, it definitely takes a lot of different departments and a lot of different stakeholders here in the city to really make progress on these issues. And so I'm definitely encouraged by her commitment to that approach, and look forward to, if confirmed, having that continue working together. So I'm also support. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair. A very important matter that was brought before us by Dr. Dela was the field of finance in the city administration, and the fact that Ms. Halsey has a lot of experience in assistance in terms of funding and finance via her biography is significant for the work that she is going to be doing in that department, especially when we have such as
the Resiliency Department, which is a new department, and many other initiatives that are being raised in that department as we addressed homelessness and youth and elderly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this appointment of Eliza Halsey to the Community Services Administrator, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, so carried.
Mr. Chair, I ask that we move the appointments 9, 10, the reappointments 9, 10, and 11. Those of Jean C. Jenkins to the Civilian Review Board, of Joyce Alton to the Greater New Haven Water Pollution Control Board of Directors, and Eliased Lee Cruz to the Board of Library Directors. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Alder Rodriguez.
report has been given to us from the chairs of each of those commissions that they have been in good attendance, in practically excellent attendance on 2 of the individuals, and Eliased Lee Cruz with an amount of 87%. And also that they have been great participants in these commissions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any additional discussion? Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Alder Evelyn Rodriguez. They weren't required to be here because of the excellent attendance and their participation. So I'm in support of their reappointments, all 3 candidates. Thank you.
Who's made the last one?
Just second the comments that my colleagues made. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Puts on the tab there. All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. So carried.
Mr. Chair,
Alder Rodriguez.
I ask that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Moved and second. There's no discussion on a motion to adjourn, so we are going for the vote. All in favor of adjournment? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, committee members.
Thank you so much.
Let's start passing.
You did a bad thing there. I don't know why you started singing. Oh my God.
Nice job. I know, right?
Had a house around the corner where I grew up. I used to play dancehall, reggae. I got memories.
I know. Chair entrance, just looking at like. You didn't tell me here, Commissioner Jenkins.
Oh, I didn't know.
You were, because of your, excellent attendance.
Okay.
And you guys were not required to be here.
Okay.
Because you were